going on, everybody? It is Thursday, 7 p.m. I'm Ty, and this is the Triple Threat Bet Podcast. Thanks for joining us. We want to make sure that we thank our guest from last 2 weeks ago, William Branham. A lot of good knowledge, former Navy SEAL, Naked Warrior Recovery. And then also Nicole Spears, Colonel Nicole Spears, Army Director, GFM G33 MedCom. Let me get you over to Matt, and let's see what's going on with Matt Johnson.
I feel like I drive trucks for a living now. I've been to Florida and back. It's a long drive from Texas, even further than where Al lives. So congrats to my daughter, Sierra. She's about to help all you veterans with dementia and Alzheimer's out there at the Orlando VA. And that VA is really nice, actually. It looks brand new. It looks like a college campus, but happy to be here. Missed last week for driving, but excited to talk to our guest today. And with that, we'll take it over to the hero.
Hey, what's going on? Had a really good opportunity. Matt kind of talked about it. He was driving from Orlando back to Louisiana and back to Texas. So he's been like on the road doing God's work, right? So taking care of family. I had the great opportunity of him to stop in and have lunch with him. It's always nice, to meet up with some of your veteran brothers and sisters and have a good opportunity to sit down and have some conversation and some break bread and just talk about the good old days, right? So it's always nice when somebody stops by and you get a chance to sit down and chop it up with them and just kind of relive some of the glory days, right? So we had some. Matt went to my. He's been harassing me forever. Like every time I send him a picture of me with like a cold beer in my hand, he's like, "Man, you seem like you're at the exact same restaurant every picture I get." And it's because he's right. I'm pretty much the same restaurant every time I go. So I finally had him come in and hang out and eat lunch with me. So yeah. I'm going to have an opportunity too to go, obviously, you're good, Ty. I have an opportunity to go and head to Texas in September for the Danny Dietz Memorial Cook-Off. Super pumped about that. I'm going to get a chance to cook with a legend, Carlos Calzada, and get a chance to learn from learn what he does and get a chance to compete, man. It's always, it's in our blood. As service members and combat vets, we like to compete. We're going to win. I have to beat Ty. The last time he went and cooked with Carlos, I think he said, would you get 13?
Yeah, 13th place chicken, no big deal.
13th place chicken, that's a big deal. As many teams are out there. I've got to beat that. I don't care if it's 12th or 11th. I've got to beat Ty. So that's my goal. But I get to go up there and hang out with Ty, spend time with him and his amazing family, and hang out with Matt. So I'm pretty pumped.
Yeah, it was super cool to be able to get Becky and April together too, so they could sit there and talk and make fun of us. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, it was awesome. They said they went the total other end of the table away from me and Matt. I was like, man, but yes, Becky's tired of being in a car alone with Matt. She needs to get away. They sat at the other end of the table.
It's like the good old days,
Yeah, it's a good old days. Yeah. The wives.
Time, man. I actually went to a good Mexican restaurant in Florida, so that's a plus.
That's the only one.
It was named proper, Old El Paso.
Oh, baby. He got to hang out with my daughter. Ty, my daughter, he walks in. Before he gets there, my daughter's like, "I'm so excited to meet Matt again." Because she was a baby the last time I seen her, and she was like, because he is a clothing designer. He is
fashion designer.
So yeah. So when she was all pumped, like, I get to meet a real life fashion designer, Dad. And I'm like, hey, there he is, the fashion designer.
Yeah. But as soon as that was said, Becky was like, "Who's a fashion designer?"
Yeah.
Someone here's a fashion designer, dude.
Yeah. Good time though. It was good. It was good catching up and hugging his neck and seeing him. So.
Yep.
Now, speaking of catching up with good times, we've had a lot of great leaders on, but one of the leaders we're going to talk about today is it's a leader that was from Fort Campbell. Fort Polk had a wide career, a lot of different assignments. Major General William B. Hickman served as the Director of Strategic Plans and Policy for the NATO Allied Transformation Command at Norfolk, Virginia. He was the Deputy Commanding General for U.S. Army Central Arab-Jan Kuwait. He was the commanding general for JRTC and Fort Polk, Louisiana, when I was there. Deputy Commanding General for ADCO for S and operations for the 101st Airborne Division, 2nd Brigade Combat Team Commander, 1st Battalion 502nd Infantry Commander, and Bravo Company 3rd Battalion 325th Infantry Regiment Commander. been to Vicenza, MacDill, been executive officer, been a staff G3, director plans, training and mobilization. So essentially, and also EIB, CAB, airborne air assault, master jump parachutist, and 75th Ranger Regiment staff officer.
Wow.
Fort Benning, Georgia. So
yeah, I was gonna say, and all
Fort
of that,
Benning, baby.
he figured out how to sneak in, get in the Ranger tab.
Hey, what's crazy is
he just
I don't know if there's if there's not a ribbon. I was looking at his ribbons. I don't know if there's a ribbon he don't own.
Like, right, yeah. He's one of the few people. Him and Joe Contreras, they got more stuff on the right side, on the right sleeve than I do. There's not many people that can say that, but he does.
I've got a ton. I mean, I'm like you. I've got a ton on my chest candy, but I think I don't know if he cleaned the PX out, like they were like, we won't even have any more
shortages after he got
the shortage after he went through this.
Silly question though. Is there a limit on how many rows you can put on? Maybe he has more than what he's wearing.
Yeah, he probably does. I don't think AR 670-1 applies to general officers. But, I mean, to go further, Hickman earned a bachelor's degree in business administration from Vanderbilt in 1983. Was commissioned as a second lieutenant through the ROTC program there. He earned a master's degree later from Vanderbilt and another master's degree in national security and strategic studies from the Naval War College. I just thought that was cool that he went to the Naval War College.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Of course.
But I mean, lots of great stories, and I'd be remiss if I didn't mention this. General Hickman is married to Mamie Bennett Hickman, and they have one daughter, Elizabeth, a University of Tennessee Knoxville student. So
that's an awesome name, by the way. I went to Mamie Amnis Jones Elementary School in Jacksonville, Florida. So I've never met anybody with that name. That's a pretty
nice.
Pretty awesome.
Real quick though, before we jump in, Brett Hero, April said Al had to shave it. That's the reason he has no beard.
It's too hot, Brett.
He's going to tell you it's hot, but April said because I said so, and he said okay.
Let's see it. Oh, you do look good though. Look young.
Yes, I dropped 10 years when I shave off my all white Santa Claus beard.
Yep.
I got to trim it up. I've got stubble. I need to clean it up like Matt. That baby face.
There you go. Got to do it, man. Got to do it.
His wife was also, my wife wanted to say his wife was so involved in the military spouse community. She loved her. So Sarah, my wife, was really involved with the Soldier for Life TAP program. So she actually stepped on, I don't think General Hickman remembers it, but she stepped on his foot when she was getting an award from him after he had broken his foot from an airborne jump when he was at Fort Hood. He doesn't remember. He's harder than upper lips, but Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to the senior chiefs, and let's get this interview going with General William Hickman.
Yeah, you got to bring him in. Bring him in. Hello, sir. How are you?
Doing great. I appreciate the opportunity to be with you all tonight. Thank you.
Yeah. So, do you remember getting stepped on?
I do not. I asked me that the other day.
Just shook it off.
Just several weeks ago, but
yeah.
You know who does remember that though? Sarah remembers that.
Yeah. Okay.
She was probably like, "Oh my goodness, what I just do?"
That's the first thing she told me, along with she had her little award. So I was proud of her.
Yeah. Well, I was more upset that I hit a pine tree and then hit the ground and broke my ankle. I'm more mad at myself for doing that than anybody else. I promise you.
That was in Georgia? There's no shortage of pine trees.
That was a Fort Polk.
Oh, there's pine.
There's no shortage of pine trees there either.
No.
Yeah. So I have a question, sir, before we get into it. This is a very important question. I ask everybody that has done the awesome stuff that you've done. Why would you jump out of a perfectly good airplane?
Yeah. Well, I say the military is all about the people. And so when you join airborne units, it's about the people also. So it's just one more differentiator to get soldiers who want to go out and do something exciting and take a challenge and then do it as a group. Once you go through the course by yourself, as an individual, you join an airborne unit and it just brings a camaraderie out. And then from that, you build on that as you build up your unit. So it was exciting every time we did it. I got to do it with the 82nd and the unit in Italy with the Ranger Regiment and JRTC, and each time was exciting. And Fort Campbell, we got to jump a couple of times when I was on division staff. There were still a few of us on jump status then.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh, the general did it all for good order and discipline, Ty. Morale of the troops. Everybody else is like, why not? I'm like, what do you mean, why not? Like, it's got a good seat in it, had a seat belt. It's good to go. But
I did rappelling.
Obviously, I would never jump out of a plane, sir. That's all I'm saying.
I did fast rope and rappel. That was enough for me.
They're
That
Navy.
was that was enough.
Sorry, sir. They're Navy guys.
That's right.
Rappelling and
Sorry,
rope.
we jump in the water, you know.
Yeah, no, I didn't. We didn't. You didn't even do that. So
Yeah, I did in boot camp. Went in the pool.
Oh,
I
yeah,
did the dreadful water. I got
last time we
swimmer.
got near the water in the Navy was in boot camp. So
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're honored to have you here, sir. We appreciate you taking the time to come on and talk to us. We know that anytime we can talk to distinguished leaders such as yourself, it's always a privilege because our audience gets to get a lot of information from that. They get to see the insides of sometimes how decisions are made that, you know, we don't really think about. And so the perspective and the point of view is always appreciated. But what we like to do as we start out with every guest is we like for them to kind of get to know each of our guests a little bit. So if you wouldn't mind, sir, like talk a little bit about where did you grow up and what was it like for you as a kid? What kind of things you were into? What kind of things did you like to do while you were growing up?
Yeah, I'm from Columbia, Tennessee, which is about 50 miles south of Nashville, so in Tennessee. And now I grew up. I was very fortunate, had a great family, and was able to go in a lot of different activities that really, I think, developed me as a leader. So as I went into college and the Army, but from Little League to Little League baseball to the Boy Scouts was huge. All my two brothers now are all Eagle Scouts. We had a great troop there at our church. And then in high school, in middle school, from track and cross country, basketball, a little bit of baseball, and other opportunities in the community to really serve and enjoy getting out and really practice leadership and get to know people and practice engaging. So I think that's what kept me going and what wanted me to attend a high school there that was a military high school, and really got me interested in the military and then continue serving. So that's why I decided to go to ROTC and then go to school in ROTC, enjoyed that for 4 years, and then go straight into the military. And unfortunately, I was selected to be an infantry officer and started my career after serving in Vanderbilt.
Nice. And so family life growing up, was your dad or your mom, were they affiliated with the military in any type, or what kind of structure did you have growing up? That, because it sounds like you had a lot of discipline and a lot of, like, just what you described, a lot of natural progression towards leadership kind of things. So how was that instilled in you? Was that something that your parents kind of displayed for you, or can you walk through that a little bit?
Well, yeah, my dad he's a banker. He's passed away now, but he was a banker there in a small town bank in the county. And my mother stayed at home with us, but then ended up being the foreperson of the grand jury in town there. So she did a lot of community work. And so I think just the going out with the community was really what it was. And being a smaller town, even though Columbia's grown much, 30, 40, 50,000 people now, but it was fairly small back then. And you could get out and do things and enjoy life, and the opportunities are there. You just had to seize and take advantage of them, just like you can do. And I do a lot of work here in Murfreesboro, Tennessee now, and in Nashville. Even though they're much larger cities, there's so much opportunity there for our young people to get out and do things and learn their skills and what they're really interested in.
Yeah. And then for you growing up, coming up to that decision through high school to go into ROTC, was that your first choice, or did you apply to any of the service academies prior to accepting an ROTC scholarship?
No, that was my first choice. I in high school, probably in the 8th, 9th, 10th, considered West Point, but no, I wanted to go to ROTC. I wanted to stay. I wanted to go to a university and have the university experience also.
Yeah.
Even though West Point's great, that wasn't what I wanted to do. I wanted to go to a university and get the whole breadth of going to college. And so then I applied for a scholarship. I got the Army scholarship. When you get the scholarship, back then in those days, a little bit different today, you basically got recruited from universities in. You had a scholarship, and then you picked where you wanted to go as long as they had a ROTC program there. And so I visited Vanderbilt, and even though most of my family all went to University of Tennessee, I went to Vanderbilt and with that scholarship and enjoyed it.
Yeah, so you were able to earn the scholarship first, and didn't you have to pick like 5 universities that had Army ROTC to kind of put on a wish list, or you were able to just go pick whichever unit had a program?
Back in the 80s, you could just go for it. You just as long as you had to get accepted to the
Well,
university.
You picked a good school, sir. Most of us on this podcast all hate Tennessee, so you're good.
Okay.
My
My whole family went to UT.
not a fan of Tennessee at all.
I mean, we love Vanderbilt. They're the Commodores. Hashtag anchors on the helmet. So that's pretty cool.
Well, back then you could
South.
literally go where you wanted to. There was no as long as you had to get accepted. And then,
Right. Yeah.
And then the ROTC department would clearly take you.
And so was Vanderbilt like the easy choice for you? Is it like I wanted to stay in state, stay around close to home, going to college as well? Or did you have other schools that you considered before Vanderbilt?
Well, I mean, the University of Tennessee because of the close family connection there.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, MIT sent me a lot of information. I considered that, but I didn't want to go back up that far up north. So Vanderbilt really fit in.
Yeah. So how are they? Like, what was the best sport that they played while you were there? Because normally it's baseball, but were they good? There's always.
It was very interesting. They football. We went to all the and the tennis and basketball was pretty good, but they were terrible in football. But every year they got two more games. So my first year was 2 years. First year they won 2 games. Second year 4 games. Third year 6 games. The fourth year they won 8 games. Beat Tennessee and Florida and went to a bowl game.
Wow.
So I was there during the better times of football, even though the last couple of years we know they've done well. But in basketball, they're extremely good at basketball.
There you go. There you go. The glory days in schools like that. If in Vanderbilt is a very high academic school, even though it's in the SEC, but that's what you find. Basketball players.
Harvard of the South, Matt. Harvard of the South, bro. That's the Harvard.
I mean, basically, yeah. That's
my
a good
cousin
one. So,
went to Vanderbilt there. So
what was the ROTC program like going in? Like, what was your first day like? You know, we've had a couple guys on here that have gone to West Point, and you know they described their first day at West Point, right? Like, you might as well be getting off the bus at boot camp when you go to West Point. But going into like that 4-year traditional university, what was it like going on campus, knowing you were going to be in the ROTC unit? Was it similar to that, or was it a different transition altogether?
No, it's different. I mean, you're a student. You're living in the and then they're not the barracks, obviously. The dorms with everybody else. You go to school with everybody else. Thursday was the big ROTC day. So Thursday afternoon, you would go over to the ROTC department area and do all your drill and your classes and everything. And then each semester you took a class. So I remember like your sophomore year was a military history class, but in junior and senior year, there were classes, either 2 to 4, 3-hour classes you took. They were military focused, but all the other classes you took with everybody else. So, and you wore your uniforms on Thursday afternoons for class. And then once a semester, we would go somewhere. We went to either a state park or we go to Fort Campbell and do our field exercise.
Yeah.
And then in the summer you do after my sophomore year, in between sophomore year and junior year, I went to air assault school and airborne school. After my junior year, I went to, they had the camp there, the ROTC camp. It's 6 weeks or so. I forget what it was, but out in Kansas at Fort Riley. But so yeah, I got to at least get those 2 schools out of the way as a cadet before that was it. That was an experience. I was living in the barracks at airborne school. My first time they put the cadets in with all the soldiers.
Yes.
The officers lived over in the BOQs, but the cadets, they lived with it. So that Friday night, I still remember that Friday night. We all got there. We all stayed in formation. They assigned us our room. I had an upper bunk with 3 other soldiers in the room with me, which is great. They're all young. We're all the same age. We didn't know anybody. No one knew anybody. And the first sergeant had us in there buffing the floor till 11 o'clock at night to 2300. And I asked one of the sergeants, I said, "Why are we buffing this floor to 2300 tonight?" And he said, "Well, the first sergeant doesn't want you to go downtown drinking. And this is his way to make sure everybody wakes up in the morning and no one's in trouble." And so that was my first introduction to first sergeants and how they young soldiers, especially in a school like that.
They knew that you college partiers were coming in town, and they didn't want you to take the soldiers. That's the real answer.
Yeah,
because you guys are like, "Oh, we go hang out every weekend," and these guys are, they're there to. They're active duty, so
we're all there. By the time we got done, everybody just went to sleep. Woke up Saturday morning, no one got arrested, and everybody was happy.
First introduction to busy work as a purpose. I love it. So, you went to those schools while you were in college. So, did you know going into ROTC that that's what you wanted to pick, or did you have to decide on a path to go into, like a designator or a career field? Like, how did you choose that, or was that predetermined before you ever went?
No, after your summer camp, after your junior year, that early in your senior year, you put in a wish list. I put infantry first. I forget what the other branches were. But because of my rank in the ROTC department, I was ranked pretty high. I was our cadet battalion commander, and having those two schools doing really well at camp and the leadership scores I got selected for infantry, and that was always my goal, was to be an infantry officer.
Nice. And so that was, do you think that had a lot to do with this? Did you volunteer to go to like airborne school in the summertime and the extra ones, or were they just like, you're going here, you're going there? Or did you guys actually have to volunteer for those and get selected for them?
No, you had to volunteer, and then the chain command, the cadre for the ROTC had to approve you to go and select you to go and make sure you're prepared to go. So you just didn't go, but you weren't forced to go in the summertime.
Gotcha. So you were just setting yourself up for what you wanted to do in the future. I mean, if you're really thinking about it, you knew what path you wanted, and you're like, I got to go do these things. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it was fan. What a great opportunity to get it out of the way before. And you're doing Fort Benning the same deal. Air Assault School, I lived in the barracks in 101st Replacement Barracks. You might, I don't know if you remember the old wooden buttons out there. That was an experience too, because we'd been there sleeping, and the troops would come in and midnight, whatever, stumbling over everybody's bunks in there. I was a college student figuring this stuff out, and airborne school, you did the same thing. So
yeah,
I learned a lot that summer.
That's awesome. So what was the biggest? So you finished school there and graduated. Did you stay to obtain your master's degree, or did you go into the Army after?
I went in the Army. I graduated on May 13th, and May 14th I was at Fort Benning, Georgia. Signed in and had to do the snowbird stuff for a couple of weeks, and then my class started for the infantry officer basic course. That was about 4 months long, and then I went to Ranger School immediately after that. Finished Ranger School, and by November, I was graduated in May. By November, I was at the 82nd, signed to 3rd Battalion, 325th Airborne Infantry Regiment there at 82nd. So I was platoon leader by November of being in the Army.
Sir, I had a question. What did your family feel about you obviously going ROTC and then going into the military, or going into the Army and going the infantry route? How'd your family, how'd they take that, or how'd they?
No, they did. In fact, I have an older brother who is 3 years older than me, and he went to UT, University of Tennessee. He was in ROTC. Yep. And he did much the same thing. He went to ROTC. He was an infantry officer. In fact, the one time he was stationed in the Army about 22 years. The only time we were stationed together was about a year at Fort Bragg. So he was there, and I think they understood just what we were doing. This was the early 80s, and it was time to serve.
Yep. No, sounds great.
So at Fort Benning, and you said you're at Bravo 325 at this point?
Yes, yeah. I went to after Ranger School, I went to Fort Bragg 82nd. And
so what was
company
tell us a
325.
little bit about Ranger School, sir? What was Ranger School like? The prep for that, and then going through that school.
Well, Ranger School, it's 50, when I went through, I think it still is 58 days or 4 phases. It's a pretty high failure rate. At least the first, you can recycle, but you start at Fort Benning for about 10 days. Then you go to North Georgia in the mountains. When I went through it, then you went out to Fort Bliss out in the desert and spent about 6 or 8 days out in the desert. And then you end up in Florida at Eglin Air Force Base doing the swamp piece. But Ranger School is a leadership school. It's for younger people, even though mostly lieutenants and captains go, but, obviously younger soldiers and sergeants and go to, and you take your rank off. No one knows who you are. You just got a name and U.S. Army on your uniform, or name U.S. Air Force on your uniform, whatever. And literally, you don't know who. It doesn't matter. Because you're there. You perform based on your skill set. Nothing that you've done in the past, nothing you can do in the future, but what you're doing that day. And then you go through extensive patrolling and a lot of physical fitness type things, and hand-to-hand combat, and all these different things that they put you through. And then you're graded on your leadership skills, leading patrols through those different terrain that I mentioned. And you get no-go, no-go. And if you get a no-go, you have to get a go for every phase. If you don't get a go, you get recycled. And at a certain point, there are people who don't get any goes, and they're told to leave. But it was really interesting, because I really enjoyed that, because, I didn't know at the time, but we had sergeants from the 75th Ranger Regiment there that, they were fired up, ready to go, strong. And then we had brand lieutenants that had been in the Army for 4 to 6 months there, and a whole mix of in between. And we had one Air Force Air Force paramedic guy there that I didn't know he was. But after we graduated, we all went to PX to cash the check and get moving out. By then, we put our uniforms back on, and he's standing there with his Air Force uniform on. I got my normal Army uniform on. We're talking to each other, figuring out, we didn't realize who was who. We just served together in the school. So it was a lot of fun. It was fun in the sense that you look back on it. You remember the fun stuff you look back on.
Yeah, that's a pretty awesome experience.
Yeah.
So I also see that you were a member of the staff of the 75th Ranger Regiment. Is that correct?
Yeah, I went out after I went to graduate school after my captain command time. It was over in Vicenza with the Airborne Battalion there. They asked me what I wanted to do. I spent 4 years in Italy, and so they said there was a special program at the time where you can go back and get your graduate degree, your master's. And so I was in 1990. I was in Italy finishing up after 4 years over at company command. I said, well, let me apply for this. So I got accepted to this program. And I said, well, I want to go, but I want to go back to Tennessee. So I said, I'll go back. I'll go back to Vanderbilt, get my master's in business administration from Vanderbilt, which I did. When I finished that up, they gave me a couple of choices. They said I could go to Fort Benning or Fort Leavenworth. And I figured, well, Fort Benning's got more things going on than Fort Leavenworth for an infantry officer. So I went there and worked for about 9 months at the infantry school there in combat developments, realizing that it's time to get out and find another job beside combat developments. There was a rift going on at this time. If you don't remember, 1992, the Army was rifting out. A lot of captains and majors got rifted out of the military after a few years, and they were not happy. And so I got to get out of this organization. So I had a friend of mine, a couple of people I knew in the Ranger Regiment. I interviewed. About 6 months later, I got a call. Said, you can come over, but you're going to be a staff officer. I said, great. I'll do anything you want me to do. And so actually, I was an assistant S1 for a while. Which is the one job no captain wants in the Ranger Regiment, except that you have Ranger qualified sergeants working personnel issues in the Ranger Regiment. Those guys are incredible. Unlike maybe some other units, these NCOs were hard charging, just like every other NCO I've ever been around. So I learned about just selfless service, just working hard. And then I did some other work. And then the last job, I got to be the senior LNO to JSOC for the Ranger Regiment, which was a lot of fun. You get an entry level job. You do well. We'll probably talk about that transition out of the military. Just find you a job, do extremely well, and something else could open up. And so when I got to go to Fort Bragg or the Ranger Regiment, we did exercise with the other Special Operations Unit. I was the LNO there for the regiment, and so I had a lot of fun. I learned a lot about working around those guys. And so that's how I got. That's why I say a staff officer, because I was at regimental headquarters. I don't want to pretend I was down beating down doors like the special operations guys do. Those young guys are incredible at what they do, but I think I was helping out from my perspective as best I could.
Absolutely. And then when did you know, after airborne, air assault, Ranger, spending some time with the Ranger Battalion, when did you know that you were going to stay in and that you had the ability to become a general officer? And when did that become a career goal?
Yeah, the general officer part was not my career goal. My goal was always prepare myself for the next job. But I think when I was in Italy, most officers, 4 to 6 to 8 years max, you got to decide if you're going to get in and get out. And I just enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed being around the soldiers leading. When I got a chance to go to graduate school and then get back in the infantry type assignments, that's when I wanted to do it. And then when I was in Ranger Regiment, I met my future wife. We made me as we got married, she enjoyed the military, enjoyed the camaraderie, and the people, and also serving herself, as you were talking, Ty. She enjoyed it also. So it made it so much easier and enjoyable for both of us now to serve together through the career.
Yeah, we always felt like the staff at Fort Polk always felt very close because, Sergeant Major Crabtree, yourself, it was a lot of Fort Campbell people there, and we had some great. We had a great garrison commander, great garrison XO. Bobby Parks was my former first sergeant in the 101st. So I just remember being very well at home, and then I think I'd already deployed 7 times at that point, and then the love that my wife got from the FRGs, from everybody else there. It was a great, everybody says Fort Polk is terrible is what I'm trying to say. And I thought it was great. I loved being at Fort Polk.
It's great for families. It really is. Great. I would used to kind of joke, you'll love being at Fort Polk. You can kind of pause for a second. As long as you love to hunt and fish, you'll really enjoy it a lot. So
sign me up.
Yeah,
sign me up.
But because it's a small town out in the middle of nowhere. It's you have to if you want to enjoy, you have to get out and meet your neighbors, enjoy life.
Yeah, absolutely. So you did it was a 1-star billet at Fort Polk, and then you ended up having 2 stars, Major General, and then you start thinking about getting out. When did you start thinking about getting out? When did you know that you weren't going to try and go any further?
Well, the Army's about either, in the military is about either getting promoted or getting out at some point in time. But I served. I got promoted 2-star, went to Kuwait, and I actually deployed for 26 months. And based out of Kuwait, but all over the Middle East, including Afghanistan, and times in Iraq and Afghanistan too on that tour. And so that was a long 26 months for the family and for me. And just coming home a few days every 6 months just to see the family. So, but then I went to NATO. I really enjoyed that. That was kind of a transition command because really you're working with a lot of civilians, a lot of the political leaders in NATO in Brussels. Even though I was the NATO command I was at was in Norfolk, Virginia. And then after the second, and then we decided it was time to go home because my father was getting older, my wife's mother was getting older. It was just time to come home and start something different.
How did you do around the politicians, sir?
Yeah, I was going to ask. That was my question. How did that work? How did that? That's a weird environment,
Because I mean, here's what the soldiers, here's what the senior NCOs always thought of you. You're always a quiet professional. You're always very confident. You always seem like a very imposing individual, and you just seem like you were a no nonsense person for the entire time that I knew of you at Fort Campbell, and then of course worked on your staff at Fort Polk. So I mean, you being around political people seems like you would have the look on your face right now if this is not amusing.
Yeah, well, you had to, and it really learned in NATO because you're working with NATO's obviously has a military, but it's really a political organization run by the countries, run by the states, the member states, and so you had to go around and at the time I think it was 29. I think there's 32 nations now, but you had to go around and talk to each one. The very first week I was there, I went on a trip to Belgium to SAPE's headquarters, where SACEUR's headquarters is. And we had a meeting, and there was a retired 2-star, 3-star French general there who was doing a special project. And he looked at me and said, "Where did I came from?" I said, "Well, I came from Kuwait, working supporting the missions in Iraq and Syria from the U.S. perspective." And he said, in the U.S., obviously at the time, OIR, Operation Inherent Resolve, was the missions at the time. And we had a lot of vote. I mean, the U.S. basically told the other nations what to do. And he looked at me and said, "But you realize the U.S. only gets 1 vote in NATO." His little warning to me that don't walk around there thinking you're going to tell people what to do. You're going to get all 29 of us to agree before the U.S. is going to get what it wants. And so you learn that very quickly. And that's why I said it kind of helped with your patience and understanding and seeing issues from other people's perspective. Unlike Iraq and Afghanistan, where even though Afghanistan was a NATO assignment I had there, with the U.S. providing the bulk of the combat power, the bulk of the money, we provided the decisions. You didn't do that in NATO headquarters.
Right.
So Ty kind of touched on it. Well, you made 2-star, and you decided it was time to go home, right? Time to go spend some time with some family. Got it. But I want to back up and say, because I asked General Petraeus the same question I'm going to ask you, because I think it's a good question, and I think when you take a look over your career and you look back and you say, "Man, these some of the greatest times of your lives," and all that thing, all that, right? But I really want to know what for anybody listening that's currently serving or that's out, right? What advice would you go back and give yourself as a young second lieutenant, knowing what you know now and doing all the things that you've done and being all the places that you've been? What advice would you go back and give that young, green second, lieutenant?
From the professional perspective, I would say maybe for me, I should maybe diversify a little bit more. but I just went down the path I enjoyed the most. I mean, I was at Fort Campbell 4 times, 82nd, the Rangers. I stayed the entire time in light or airborne or air assault infantry units, not the heavy side of the Army. And so I enjoyed every minute of that. And so maybe I'm backing up a little bit here, but if you're professionally, people would tell you not to do that. You spend your time in other parts of the military from the Army's perspective and the heavy side, and it gives you more opportunities when you're older. Because of the war, I think the Army allowed me and others to not do that because they wanted you to go back and lead troops in combat in different places with experience. From a personal side, I think so many leaders say this, is just much more time with family and communication with family back and forth.
Yeah.
We got
I think
you
that's
back on, man?
Matt's back in too, but it's funny, sir, because me and Ty and Matt have all had these conversations, right? And from the enlisted side, we all feel the same way. Like if I look back, I would say the same thing. Like, spend more time with your family or make your family a priority, put a little bit more. Cause I was married to the service. I loved the combat side of it. I loved the hoorah side of the CBs and, doing all the deployments. So yeah, I think it's funny to hear it from your level, because I think we're all cut. We're all soldiers and sailors, and whether you're enlisted or officers, we're all cut from the same kind of cloth, and we all feel the same way especially once you get out. Once you transition out and you look back, you say, man, looking back, I wish I would have done a little bit different, or this a little bit better, or spend a little bit more time making this a priority. So I like hearing it. I'm glad good answer, sir. I appreciate it.
Well, I would tell you one thing about that. After the first deployment in 2003, the first time I'd been in combat was I was in the military during Desert Storm, but I was actually in graduate school, so I didn't go. I wasn't part of that. So 2003, in April 2003, and then I went back 2 more times to Iraq, and I would sit in my office back at Fort Campbell as we prepared to deploy for the brigade, and I would think, okay, what else can we do to prepare these soldiers so they all come home? And 19 didn't come home in our brigade. But can we do one more thing? Can I do one more thing to give us a better chance to accomplish the mission, but also care for the soldiers? And maybe it's not the soldiers themselves. Maybe it's one more thing with the family radios group, one more thing preparing other teams here at Fort Campbell, or rear detachment, so they're ready. I mean, so it would always drag me down that road to look at those issues. And so it's a give and take as you go forward.
Yeah, I was going to say, sir, I think that when you look at a career like that, after you get out and you look back on it, me and Al specifically served together. And so we kind of finished at the same point. And we, like Al was just telling you, he took a route to go, I want to go to the next level always. And I became pretty happy with being in like one kind of area, kind of like you were saying, where I stayed in Fort Campbell and I stayed in these areas, and that's what helped me. And I really think there's an advantage to that, right? Mm-hmm. If you know that area and you know that op tempo and you know how those things work, then you're going to be more effective. I do believe in diversity and, knowing a whole bunch of different things. But when it comes to certain things, familiarity is more important. But when you look back on it, I think that no matter which path you took and which way you went, it was gonna go that way anyway. Far too often we look back and try to figure out what decisions we could have made that were better. And I would ask you. You said you sat in the desk and you wanted to figure out what's one more thing we could do? What more could we do to make it easier, better? 19 people didn't come home. I guess one question I'd ask would be, would you have done anything different looking back on it now based on what you were just describing? Or do you feel like you made the best decision at the moment based on what we knew? Because we can go into the future and know that we could have done different things, but would you change anything that you did today looking back on those times?
Not the preparation. I think we had a strong team, strong battalion command sergeant major teams in place. So I was very happy with the preparation I'm really talking brigade command here because we had a good year. We knew where we were going. It was my 3rd deployment to Iraq, so we understood the situation there, unlike the first time. there are decisions that I made in Iraq, probably 2 or 3 that you kind of Monday morning quarterback yourself and wish you made a different decision. You feel confident you made the best decision you had based on the information, but in the end, it didn't work out the way you wanted it to work out. And so you look back on those things that, what did I miss? Did I miss something that would have led me down a different road not for myself, for the unit itself, for the soldiers that were on the ground actually having to do the fighting?
Yeah, that's a good point. And is there anything that you could point to that you think you would have done different? I'm not trying to ask you to relive all through it, but those kind of decisions, sometimes you realize I can look at it in Monday morning quarterback it all I want, but the decision we made is the decision we made. Like, there was really no other one to make. You know what I mean?
I'll give you two of them. One actually worked out things well. One, I wish I'd made a different decision. The route clearance mission in Iraq in 2007 and 8, where our engineers would go out every night in these all the different, I forgot all the name of the vehicles, but Huskies and all these different MRAP type vehicles. And they would drive along at, extremely slow speed looking for IEDs. And so I wish I'd ridden with them one night to see what war's like. And then I wish I should have looked harder at, what ones really we need to do and which ones we don't need to do. Because those troopers went out there and it was amazing what they did. And they were hit at certain nights. It was a very tough mission. And so I look back on that one and think, I should have made a better decision there and change some of those missions. Another night we were there one night in the Iraqi army. This was during the March Madness period, 2008, when we were going against the Shia militias. And the Iraqi army actually decided to stand up against the Shia militias, which was amazing. So now if they're going to stand up with them, we're going to stand up with them also. But the Iraqi army, we took over a political building, Sadr political building, which was a big deal without telling me. And then that night, these militias ran over and captured all their soldiers. So they all know each other. The Iraqi army general I was with really wasn't worried about it. All the soldiers came back the next day. They just took all their uniforms and weapons away from them. But that night, they wanted to go back in and take the building back, and they wanted us to go with them. And I said, we're not going. We're not going to go tonight because we don't know what's the building's not worth it. We'll go in the morning with you when we can see and control the building. And so we didn't go in that night. They sent their recon company from the division headquarters and took the building back. And then so I didn't think it was worth the risk of sending the military transition team, 15 soldiers from the National Guard with these guys up there driving down a road. It could have an ID on it, and no one really cares about this building. But because we could always do it in the morning when it was much easier. It's far easier, being safer. And then that afternoon, they were going to ban the building because the Iraqi militias keep threatening them to call them on the phone and threatening them they're going to take the building back. So then I said, okay, we got the building. We're not going to give the building back. And so I called one of my battalion commanders and said, hey, get a platoon up there with 4 Humvees, put them on the corner of the building, and don't move. Just sit there and pull patrols. And when we did that, the Iraqi army got some stood up again and said, okay, well, if you're going to stay with us, then we're staying. And so then we stayed in the building, and 2 days later, when the Iraqi battalion commanders moved in, and it really just demonstrated the strength of the Iraqi army to these Shia militias that they're not going back down. And so that one kind of worked out right. No one got injured. No one had to fire one round. Well, there was a little bit of fighting, but no one got hit or anything. So I was happy that decision worked out well by taking a little precaution before you instead of running down the road at 2 a.m. and not knowing what's happening.
Yeah.
And that's why they never put me in charge of anything, sir, right there. Because I'd be like, let's blow that building up.
Yeah.
Let's level it. I don't even want it.
Nobody cares about it anyway.
Nobody cares. We're blowing this whole building up.
Well, it's Northwest Baghdad. You don't just blow a building.
Yeah, I'm calling in an airstrike. Hey, this building's gone. Goodbye. Yeah. No, I'm just
kidding. So in total, how many years did you do? I think I saw 38. Is that correct?
36 and a half or so.
36 and a half. So coming up to the end of that, as we go through, like what was it like for you coming towards the end? Did you realize you knew when you were going to stop, or did you get to a point where you knew like I gotta go, or like kind of what was the decision point for you to decide that transition was what you needed to do?
Yeah, I mean the NATO job was, I was fairly confident it was going to be a 2-year. Everybody had before me had a 2 years, and I enjoyed it. So I knew coming out of that was going to be it. And so so about several months out, 9 months out, maybe, I forgot what it was, but I contacted up at the General Officer Management Branch and talked to them about the process, and at some point sent a note to the Chief of Staff of the Army, and so it was well known. I mean, but you work up to the last day, and then you start your terminal leave. So
Yeah.
so that's kind of how it worked out.
So one thing we do like to get into with all of our guests, you know, doesn't matter what level that you served at, like what was your transition like personally? Do you feel like you had a good transition? Did you have a good plan? Do you wish you could have done other things? That's a lot to unpack, but let's just start with overall transition. How long did you have to prepare for that? You know, you said you knew 2 years, this billet was it. Did you start from that point, or
No.
did you do like all of us and go, I got 6 months left, this is going to be awesome, let me go ahead and get ready?
No, it was about 9 months out, I guess, when I started thinking about it. And I'm fortunate there was a good transition course that my wife and I were able to go to, really walk you through the process. So the transition out of the Army went extremely well, all the way from the VA to, you know, all the different steps you have to go to get out of the military. So that way they went well.
And what transition program did you participate in?
Well, they have a one for general officers. They have a 4 or 5 day course up in DC that you go to.
Okay.
So
Nice.
it's,
And is it the same curriculum that they would do on the enlisted side in the Soldier for Life? Is it pretty similar, or is it a little bit different?
parts of it? Yes. I mean, all the medical piece parts going to be all the same. The only difference is they have a couple days where they bring in former or retired general officers or their spouses with them to talk to you about, you know, their experiences. But it'd be the same, but I mean, I'm totally upfront with it. I'm sure it's more personal than what they have at a large military installation.
So I do have a question for you in that then. Do you feel like something like that would be beneficial on just a regular post or base or what, you know, what have you in these transition programs? I think it's huge to bring someone in that's already transitioned and kind of give you the ropes, basically, right? Like, this is what I went through. This is what happened to me. This is what you need to avoid. I mean, I would venture to say that was probably the best part of your transition, right? Being able to ask somebody that was out the question. Because I've told stories here where, you know, in the Navy, you go talk to your command sergeant major, your command master chief, you're talking to them. They're like, well, when you get out, this is what you got to do. And we listen to them always. And then now I'm like, you know, years removed, and I'm like, I was listening to a dude that was still in the Navy telling me how to get out. Like, and he wasn't even out yet. So I would imagine that was probably one of the most impactful parts, right? Where you got to talk to someone that had already done that.
There's two groups. Yeah, the for the non-commissioned officers in the officers team, but the non-commissioned officers we'll talk about. Yeah, the ones that have 20 plus years in or getting out and retiring, I think it'd be fantastic if they brought them into. And there's plenty of them in the local areas. It wouldn't be that difficult, especially at the large installations. Because you're right. Until you experience yourself, maybe the three of y'all think the same thing. Until you experience yourself, it's hard to give somebody advice, something you've never done before like this, because it's so foreign. And then for the troopers who, you know, 5, 6, or 8 years, whatever, they've done 1 or 2 enlistments, they want to get out and go do something. It would be good to get somebody who's done that. You know, that's had 5 years in the Army and got out, went back to school, or got out and got a trade school, or got out and just got a job, so they can talk to them about what it means. Because talking to someone who's has not done it before is okay, but it's not the best way.
Yeah. And so what do you think? And I'm not asking as like a point of this program's bad or good or whatever, but I do think it's very interesting that you guys had the opportunity to do that. Like, that's huge. What do you think would be the major holdup in setting something like that up? Because like you just said, at a lot of our major installations, including the smaller installations, there's no shortage of volunteers that'll come in there and tell you what it was like to transition, whether you were a 5-year or a career. What do you think would be like a hang up to doing something like that and on a post, coming from like your level that you've been at those highest levels and seen how things kind of move and shake. Guys like us, enlisted guys, are like, let's just bring them in. But I know that there's rules, ropes, and different things you have to consider when you do that.
Well, every problem is solved by leadership. So there's a Freeman wrote in his book, the New York Times article, writer. He talked about tasks. There are 4 kinds of tasks. They're routine tasks done routine ways, which you want them to do. You want to go to McDonald's and every task is, I'm getting a little off by leadership, but you want, when you go to McDonald's, you want everything done exactly the same because you're going there for something, you expect it to be something.
Yeah.
And then the routine tasks done creative ways is, you go in Chick-fil-A, it's a little bit different. They're really a little bit nicer to you. So it's not a routine task as much there. And then there's creative tasks done in routine ways. And that's what you're talking about here. Everybody's got a creative task because everybody's a little bit different. People are different. It's not a science, it's art, and so you need to do that. But people do it the routine way because that's the fastest way. It gets people in and out the door. But what you need is a leader who accepts the fact that this is a creative task, getting people, transition people out of the Army. Everybody's not the same. They have different family needs. There may be groups of people, but there's multiple groups of different ways to get out of the Army or the military. Mm-hmm. So you need somebody who's going to have a creative task, do it a creative way, and say, what we did this month, 3 months from now, we may want to change it and add a new perspective to this. And then they have the skill set to do it and the drive to do something creative.
Yeah, I think that's a good point because when you look at it, because everybody's different, that's where it becomes difficult. I think a lot of what happens, even being on the other side of the military, it happened a lot in the military. It happens a lot more, I feel like, in the civilian world. Is like, you don't understand my problem. It's very complex. And then you go talk to another person that has the same issue, but you still don't understand their problem. Yeah. It's very complex. So everybody tends to, this is what I need versus everyone's getting out. We need to go do a medical evaluation. That's pretty simple. Everybody's got to go do that. Now, I get it. You got arm problems, you got shoulder problems, you got leg problems, but everybody tries to make it so specific about themselves. At least when I was in we did TGPS in the Navy, which is the equivalent of Soldier for Life. Everybody wanted to ask about their situation to kind of take the VA reps time in that to tell them how to fix their stuff. And the guy was like, I'm just here to give you the general description. And so I do know that is difficult, but the creative part of it, I think, is like you were saying, it's all about getting everybody through because it's a requirement. This is one of those things where and this is just what I've seen from an enlisted perspective. If you're sending a lot of people to these transition classes 9 months before they get out, and then you could go do it again, 3 months before you get out, I'm taking you away from work. We need you to get that work done. And so there's not as much emphasis put on transition as there is, you need to go to this training school for 3 months because it's going to make you effective at your job, which we're willing to let people go do. But that 5 days, I just don't know how we can justify it. You know what I mean? I wish we could find out where we could get all of our leaders to think the way that you just said, is like, hey, you got to understand that this is important. We teach you how to be the best fighting force in the world, but we should do a better job at like easing you back in. But I'm gonna, I don't know, can we send suggestions? We need to find a way to get people in there that have already transitioned to talk to these classes. I think that would be, super helpful because, teaching me to write a resume and then regurgitating my evaluation on it is definitely not the way you go. You got to really make sure that you're writing to the job that you want. And you're not really taught that, it's a very check in the box kind of deal. I wish it was a little bit more personable, which I know is hard to do. Like you said, everybody's individual, but
Well, and there's been some improvement. I've done met some of the people up at Fort Campbell. And so, because we live about an hour and a half from Fort Campbell. And so, they have the job fairs and things. And so if you start those early, you're probably not going to get a job because you don't do it right the first time. But, you need to talk to 5 or 6 different employers at the first job year, just to practice talking to someone that's not in the military, that's running a security company or running for the electrical company or whatever it is. And then you can get some feedback. Well, what did I do right? What did I do wrong? So when it's really time, you're 2 or 3 months out when people really want to hire you. They don't want to hire you 9 months out. And then you practice talking to people who are non-military people about your skill sets. And so those things are much better than they were. I don't remember any of those things going on when I was at Fort Campbell, but they have these, and so the other military bases do too.
Yeah, they have a lot of TGPS career fairs now that they'll do at the bases, and every time Al had told you we in the we were talking, we work with a company that does maintenance for military housing, and anytime we've gone to those career fairs, there's been a lot of soldiers, sailors, and airmen that we'll tell them, just come back at like 3 and we'll interview you.
We'll interview you.
We'll just interview you. You're never going to get this job because you're like a year out, but
come
we'll interview you just what you said.
Go through the full
to give
process.
You that feedback and go, hey, stop using the acronyms. You don't need to tell a story about this time in Iraq. You need to relay this to the job, the skill set. And so that's a good point. So anybody that's out there, listen, if you're an employer, just do the interview with them. Like, let them go through that process. You're there already anyway. What does it hurt, right?
Yeah.
And you could create a relationship with someone that may work with you in the future.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's good. So once you got out and transitioned out, what kind of things are you doing now? Like, what's the what did that lead you into?
Well, I got it in November 2019, so then COVID obviously that March. But I went in. I'm doing a lot of do some speaking opportunities. A lot of it just like I'm speaking to a business group next week in Nashville, just because they asked me to come talk about alliances and training and leadership things. But also spent a lot of time thinking with other organizations, the Boy Scouts, called Scouting America. I spent a lot of time with them. And what I would tell somebody, if you're going to do that, you're going to start volunteering your time. Pick something you're passionate about. And I think that's what I like about the Scouts. You give your time, talent, and resources to it. And I enjoy it. I'm on the executive board, the trustees, and all the different things up there at the senior level leadership type things, the Scouts here in Middle Tennessee. But I'm also assistant scoutmaster for a troop in Northeast Nashville. And so, we got a small group of Scouts who live in challenging situations. And so we drive into Nashville once a week and we go camping once a month and go to summer camp. And they're younger than our 19, 20-year-olds, but they're reminding me of our 19, 20-year-olds of the challenges that they face. And so that's what I want to spend most of my time for is assisting people who need, and I get a lot out of it too. I enjoy being around. Yeah. I mean, we were at camp about 3 weeks ago. We went for summer camp for a week at Boxville, and one of our youngest scouts, he passed the beginner swim test. It was amazing watching him finally jump off the dock. I couldn't get the kid to jump off the dock, much less swim. And then the lifeguard out there finally, about an hour, he had a day's swim lessons, and then he finally got him to jump off the dock, finished. He was the proudest scout I've ever seen. Yeah. You think about it, just made Eagle Scout. He was so happy. Yeah. And then 2 other ones passed their swim test, which they were doing everything exceptionally well in Scouts, but they finally could swim 100 feet, I guess it is. And then when they passed that, they were on cloud 9. I mean, it was just amazing to watch these boys my parents got me to swim when I was 4 or 5. They're 14, 15 and never had an opportunity to learn how to swim. And now they're swimming and just to see the excitement in their eyes and what that brings to them. And I think that's going to grow, that they see that they can do other things too.
Yeah, facing that fear is definitely good to see when someone actually faces it and realizes they can come out on the other end. The sky's the limit at that point. There's nothing they can't accomplish. So that's
so we're taking them 2 weeks. We're going canoeing with them on one of the rivers here.
Nice.
It's going to be they're just when they get out in the woods to get the phones out of their hands, and they're different people when you get rid of a phone, you're a different person. Especially
Oh yeah. Now you can actually make memories you can talk about because you made the memory. You didn't watch it on a phone, right? Like that's the piece that I enjoy the most is being able to, just for instance, the other day, I went and sat in a restaurant with Al and his wife and his daughter. We ate lunch. We didn't talk about anything in particular, but the fact that we got to sit there and talk to each other and hang out face to face, like that's worth more than any other thing that you could do, even that hour was no matter what it would have impeded or whatever, it was completely worth it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to September when Al comes to the house.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited about September because I'm bringing my dad with me, and my dad's is a retired veteran. Is a retired veteran who he's retired from the civilian world too, and he doesn't do a whole lot outside of like taking care of the house and cutting grass. So I'm excited to get him out and do a road trip with him, just me and him, and get him out there around you guys. So
yeah, for sure. So, sir, I would imagine I have a question though. In the things that you've done post-retirement, do you feel like, is that something that keeps you a little bit close to what you had in the Army, taking care of soldiers, taking care of people, making sure they had what they needed? Is that just something that you found in your next chapter that still allows you to have that purpose of leading and mentoring people?
Yeah, that's why. I mean, that's what I get out of it. It's the typical thing when you give, you receive more than you give sometimes. So for me, it is that I can do that. And then, but I don't want to, I want to measure as much as I can, because I'm excited about having a wonderful family. Our daughter has 2 grandchildren. We have 2 grandchildren, so we want to spend as much time with family also. So I'm enjoying those type of things also. And then there's some other veteran organizations here in town I spend time with also. So all those coming together it's really taking up my time. I'm about almost as busy as I was when I was in the military.
There you go. So what is if you were to go back, or you were to tell some people right now that are watching that are on their way to transitioning from an enlisted all the way through a executive level in leadership, what would be the biggest thing you would tell them to do as they transition out? Not necessarily the process to getting out, but once they're done, what would be a couple of things that you would suggest that they try to do immediately?
I would suggest you write down what your general goals are going to be, and then you figure out who can, and don't be. I think in the military somewhere where we want to put other people first. We don't want to think about ourselves. We want to worry about ourselves later. But at some point, you got to think about yourself, because you're really thinking about your family at the same time. But what are your goals are, and then start networking or engaging or calling your friends that has something to do with that goal, and just let them know that's one of my goals when I get out. And so, what's your advice, and how can you help me? And start building a little networking diagram like we probably did when we were in the military, and then tell people, thank them for their advice and their assistance, whatever they can give you, and then realize the first thing you do is you're not wedded to it. Like, we joined the military, you stayed for 36 years. You think, man, whatever I did, I made this decision. I'm stuck in for 36 years. Now when you're a civilian, you can do it for a while and then change your mind and do something else. So don't accept something and do your best at it, and other doors will open.
Nice. Yeah, it's not always the first thing that you do, and I think that's the key. A lot of people should realize and remember, though. So I joined the Navy to be an EO originally, right? I was an equipment operator. I was supposed to run bulldozers, dump trucks, and I did all that fun combat engineer stuff, right? Earthworking. But I still know how to lay cinder block, hang drywall, put in plumbing pipes. So even though we say I was in the military, I did this for 22 years, 36 years, like this is what I did. You did so many different things that I just wish we could relay that to our military members and our veterans getting out, that like you're more diverse than you think. And remember, you didn't just do one thing in the military, right? If depending on the service you went into, you had an MOS, but maybe you were soldier first, MOS second, or you could have been MOS first, soldier second. There was always a diversification there. I don't think we leverage that good enough with people that are getting out to help them understand that they're a lot more diverse than they think they are. They just think they got to do this one thing and stick to it, which I think is what, hampers it. And then, like you said, you're not going to like the first place you go. We all think we're going to, though, right? Because we did 20 years and loved it, but you're not going to.
Nope. I hated it. I hated every minute of my first job out. I was like, this is not for me.
I met a master chief here in Murfreesboro. He was telling his story, and there was one company, he wanted this job. He wanted to be because he was, you can help me. I did serve on an aircraft carrier for 30 days with the Army. But,
yes, you have more sea time than me.
Yeah, you have more sea time than me and Matt combined.
The America, off the coast of Haiti.
Nice.
But anyway, he was telling his story. There's, the Nissan plant is here in Tennessee, so they make the Nissan cars. And whenever you have a big car plant like that, you have all these other smaller companies around it to provide parts and whatever. Anyway, there was one of them there. He wanted a job. He wanted to be the head maintenance, but it had a high-speed name because he was basically over the wing on the aircraft carrier. He was a senior non-commissioned officer doing the maintenance logistics. I mean, from somebody in the military, you think, man, this guy was incredible. Well, he could never get it translated to this job he wanted at this company. So he was working at the DMV. He said he got tired of sitting around his house. He went to the DMV. He's working there giving people driver's license, which you can imagine what that was like for this guy. But he just got him out of the house. And so some guy walks in that he had briefly met and said, what are you doing here at the DMV? He said, well, I couldn't get the job I wanted, so I just took a job. And so the guy says, well, I can get you a job at this plant, this company you want to get at, but you're going to be working nights and you're going to have basically this low-level manager position, basically. And so he said, I'll go. And so he got the job in there. Again, this is an high-speed senior non-commissioned officer in charge of maintenance and logistics for our air wing on aircraft carrier. And so after about 6 months, they realized who he really was. And he worked his way up to the job he wanted in the first place. After about a year, he was doing the job he wanted because he was an exceptional leader and he could get results. But he had to get himself in the door, and he got that by starting a job at the DMV, which is sometimes you just got to go do something and get something going.
Yeah, absolutely. I think also, be realistic in your expectation as well, right? Coming out as an officer or a senior enlisted, we walk into the civilian world and we're all, I went and joined the Navy. I got the card. It said I could do anything I wanted in the world, and I was going to get hired by every company that was outside of that. So we all get out and we're like, we're going to make a lot of money. And then when you get out, people are like, what are you talking about? So understand too, there's things you've got to do to checkbox yourself to get there, right? Yeah. Just like you work to get a promotion in the military, there's certain wickets that you have to hit, whether it's a duty station or a school or a qualification. Think about that, like certifications, degrees, and maybe different jobs you could do in the military that would set you up. And so if you really know what you want to do coming out, look at that. But I love what he did. I'll take whatever you got, and then I'll show you what I can do. And every time we do that, I just think there's a lot of fear with military guys that go into companies. Like we always, I guess, have the right answer in those situations where they go, there's an issue with an employee. What are you going to do? We always default to the person.
Knife hand them, put it at parade rest.
Defaults to the knife hand. Not very good. However, but we're always like, Is everything okay with you? Is everything okay at home? Is there anything I need to know about? Like, is there anything I can help you with? And I think it really shocks those civilian job interviewers that we would automatically go to something like that without even really knowing someone, because we were taught, like, if it's not all good at home, it's never going to be good at the job. Yeah. And if you're acting differently, and I see you do the same thing at work every day, something outside of here is not right. And we got to make sure that we help you take care of that. And I think that's a huge threat to those leaders in the outside, that when we come in, they're just afraid that we want to take over for them. And half the time we're like, no, I just want a job. That's it. I just want to work, So long answer to say, just make sure that you know what you want to do and prepare yourself to get out there, because it's important to know what you want to do. And sometimes you do have to take something that you don't really want to do in order to get there. And that's fine. That's the other piece. It's okay to do something first and then go to what you really want to do.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, there are jobs in the military. I went to work as this job's wearing me out, but I knew that after this job, there'd be something better.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
Well, sir, I have a question for you. You ever heard of the game 20 questions? I'm sure you have, where they ask you 20 questions. You got to answer them really quick, rapid fire. I don't know if you've noticed, Ty's put his sunglasses on.
Okay.
Any questions you want? Are you familiar with our hot seat?
No. What's that?
Are you familiar with our hot seat?
I don't know if
he's about to be. He's about to be acquainted. We're going to get him acquainted with Ty's hot seat.
Okay.
Yeah, we're going to get you acquainted with the hot seat. Ty's got some questions for you, and me and Al are going to jump out, and we'll see you momentarily.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, sir. So first of all, let me just tell you, I've had a lot of my military heroes on this show. I've had, General Petraeus, Sergeant Major Woodring. I'm trying to get Sergeant Major Hill. And just the fact that you have such a lineage, I spent my first 10 years of my career at Fort Campbell, and just knowing your name and then serving under you at Fort Polk. It's an honor for me to have you on the show. Thank you so much for, speaking to me as I badger you on LinkedIn or wherever I bothered you at. Thank you very much for coming on the show, sir.
Yeah. Well, great. It's great to be, Ty. Thank you.
Yes, sir. All right. You have a 1 hour conversation with anybody in history. Who's it going to be, and what are you going to talk about?
I'm going to talk to General Eisenhower, or President Eisenhower, and I'm just really impressed as I studied how he transitioned from being the SAC up to being the President of the United States, and see what he could teach us about what's going on today.
Excellent. Appreciate that, sir. What is the most unique place on earth that you've ever visited?
I have been to the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem, and so the whole tour there, but Jerusalem was amazing.
Oh wow, that's amazing. All right, this one may be hard for you, but which is better, airborne or air assault?
101st Airborne.
Air assault, sir. Air assault.
Okay.
All right. What is your best book recommendation right now?
The Innovators by Ikeson. I don't know if you've heard of that book, but he wrote about the computer, how the computer came about.
Well, I will read about it now. All right, sir. I do have a question here. What advice would you give your 12-year-old self? But I'm not going to ask that one because Al kind of already did. He asked the second lieutenant. And that's kind of like a 12-year-old. Just joking. What was your Eagle Scout project, and what year was it done in?
Well, I got my Eagle Scout in 1974, and so they weren't as big back then, but it was a project in the park, basically clean the park.
Very nice, very nice. We have a lot of we have a gentleman, our chaplain Steve Allison, is big in the Boy Scouts here, so we always have Eagle Scout projects. So Thank you very much for that. I think the Eagle Scout badge, I think what that does for military people, whenever you see Eagle Scouts coming to the military, they're automatically better. I think they come in promoted as well. So, sir, what drives you in life?
Excellence. Just doing your best.
I knew that would be your answer. Just
okay.
Always excellence. All right. What keeps you up at night?
Family. Just focus on the family. You want to when some big events occur, and you think about things that maybe we can make it better.
All right. What did 36 years in the military teach you about yourself?
It taught me about preparing for a hardship and preparing for the unknown. And so that I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed the next challenge.
What was your biggest challenge in the military as far as a school or a specific command or maybe a PCS move? What was your biggest challenge in the military?
Well, professionally, it's got to be brigade command. I mean, we knew a year out just preparing the brigade and having over 5,000 troops in Northwest Baghdad during the surge. But it was also the most prepared I ever was to go to take command was the 2nd Brigade.
Strike Brigade.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Here's the question. Who's the greatest of all time, Prince or Michael Jackson?
I take Prince. Okay.
As you can see, Prince has a lead of 36-29, but it's been getting much closer lately. So, all right.
I was listening to Jackson 5 with my grandson the other day with the ABC one, whatever it is.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3. So if you said the Jackson 5, maybe I would have gone there. It was pretty good back then.
All right. Last question. What can we do to get better, sir?
We have to, there's 2 values that aren't the Army values, but they are empathy and humility. And so, and more people practice empathy, seeing issues from other people's perspectives, and then discussing them would be a lot better.
That's a beautiful answer. Appreciate that, sir. All right, you've graduated out of the TTV hot seat. Appreciate it very much. Let's bring you guys back.
Yeah.
That went just like I thought it was going to go. So, funny story. I don't think General Hickman and I really ever had any long conversations. I remember meeting him, and I was saying, I'm the new staff G6 guy. I'll be doing your VTCs. I was a sergeant first class, And I remember most conversations with him would be, if there was a problem, he would say, talk to that NCO right there. And that's most of the conversation. Talk to that NCO right there. It was all about business. Very, very Joe Friday, very Eagle Scout. You know, I always thought of you as a Boy Scout. So I appreciate you very much for coming on, sir. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. And guys, you got any more questions?
No, sir. I just want to say thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you all too. I really enjoyed the discussion, and thanks for what you're doing for not just tonight, but thanks for what you're doing for for other veterans. But as you mentioned in one of your other podcasts, a lot of non-veterans listening too, just kind of understand what's going on. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you, sir.
Very cool, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, Major General William Hickman, retired.
Thank you. You have a good day.
Air assault, sir.
It still said air assault.
Air assault. Hey, that was a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, it's awesome. He's awesome.
Yeah. So we got some future guests next week. We have Jason.
There he is.
You guys going to be here for this?
Bro.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. And then after that, we'll of course talk about his books. He's got 3 books out. And then after that, we got Robert Romelli, a soldier that deployed with me. So here's some news.
15 months. That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for 15 months. So there's some football on tonight, right?
Yeah, but not football doesn't matter. I was going to ask you guys about football.
This is just a Hall of Fame game, but we can.
Yeah, but there's not going to be another week without football until football season's over. So we're back in it now. It's about ready.
We could pick it. Yeah, it's a good game. It should be a good game too.
We don't have to start picking till August, but I'm just saying it's coming. It's
right.
almost
Detroit.
So here's the deal, though. This is what I want to do different than last year. So we already know we need a minimum 5 games each week, right?
Yeah.
Fair enough? Okay.
Fair enough.
So let's go through now and instead of telling Al who he has to pick for like last year, let's ask who we're going to pick this year. Let's pick a team. Doesn't have to be the same team as every year, but what college team are we going for here? So let's go with Al. Who are you going for?
Obviously, I'm pulling for Notre Dame, but we don't have to pick the same team, right?
No, you don't have to pick the same team, but who do you want to pick for this year? That would be the question. It can be Notre Dame if you want. It doesn't matter.
No, I think I'm going to pick Memphis Tigers. I'm just going to go with a random. I've been to a bunch of their games. It's fun to go. Let's go Memphis Tigers.
There you go.
Okay.
I'm picking Kentucky, baby.
Kentucky
Wildcats.
Okay.
Well, we got to have 5, so we can still have like Notre Dame, Kentucky, and A&M.
Of course.
And then let's pick 2 off. Let's pick 2 off teams like a Memphis or like a whoever.
Oh, I'll pick Eastern. I'll pick Kentucky and Eastern Kentucky.
Okay. So Al, you got Notre Dame and Memphis.
Memphis.
All right. And I'll do A&M and LSU.
Yeah.
And then let's pick one wild card team.
Miami Hurricanes.
No, who sucked the most last year? See if we can pick their season.
Florida State.
Oh.
Damn, why you had to go there like that? Why are you picking
though.
all my kids' alma maters, bro? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, he's right though.
Yeah,
I say we go Florida State because they had such a horrible. I mean, they were like 2 or 1 and whatever. Like, man.
Okay,
yeah, let's go.
Let's do it. There we go. We're there. So there's the 7. So we got our 7. So what do we got here? Eastern Kentucky, LSU, A&M, Notre Dame, and Memphis, and Florida State.
And FSU. Okay.
So there you go. That's who we're picking this year. That way we got it locked in before it starts. We're good to go.
So we're not going to pick any service academies, no Army, Navy?
Nah, we'll do that during
the Army-Navy game?
Yeah, the Army-Navy game. Maybe we'll do it when Army plays Air Force. And
when they play each other.
We may be going to that. That's November 1st, Army and Air Force.
Yeah.
Where's that at?
It's at Air Force. Sarah wants to go to an Air Force game. See, I guess she went when her dad was going there. So,
nice.
Maybe she went when they lived out there.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, she wants Tatum to see it. He got to fly a plane again. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I know, right? Dang.
Yeah. Cool.
Is he gonna fly us to Vegas?
One of these days, he will have to have our own little.
Oh, by the way, I saw that our dude Shiza Minnelli was in the house, and I just want to say hi to the closet dart shuffleboard gangster. Just saying.
Yeah, they really appreciated you being out there tonight. They said you were funny as hell. I went back last weekend, and Sean Ellis didn't make it, but they were like, "Man, you didn't tell me Matt Johnson was funny as hell." I was like, "Yeah, man, he's a jack of all trades. That's why he runs the show."
I have to be a professional every once in a while. You know what I mean? However, it's really easy because he is claiming not to be good at anything, and
I love you, baby.
There you go. And he completely was trying really hard and winning. So it was really easy to get him riled up. It was awesome. It was
yeah. Bob, take off your caps lock. You're yelling at everybody. You don't have to use caps for everything. You're yelling.
UK.
Well,
you were yelling. You were yelling at everybody.
Hey,
caps.
But Ty, did you know that that live video you took there got like tagged for like
music?
Like
copyright infringement.
Yeah.
We ended up sharing it. It made like $10 or something. We ended up sharing revenue.
Yeah, to other people.
Yeah, I know. Well, the people that were playing the music though is
BMI.
I think.
No, it was cool. It was cool. It was a good time.
But I did get some of the non 0.0% THC strawberry lemonade gummies from Naked Warrior Recovery. So
how they work?
There's THC in theirs?
No, these are 0.0% THC. So
it's like CBD.
Yeah, these are the ones that I would say Matt could use. But
yeah, those are the ones he said you get started with, not the ones that will take you to the moon.
No, I get excited when I go to Ty's house because we're gonna relax together, and I'm gonna be on the fucking moon, baby. I'm gonna be hanging out with Lil Wayne. Flying the space shuttle, bro.
I don't know. You probably have to
BRM.
Yeah,
but you'd have to get Lil Wayne like 5 years ago, not this year.
All I know is me and Ty relax, bro. We start writing scripts to movies. Hey, we have a good time. I can't wait to be there relaxing. I can't wait.
Are you going to end up staying here tonight? I talked to Jen today. I gave her your number, so she should be calling you and everything. But we'll have fun when we go out to that Dandy Dietz thing. That'll be a good guy weekend.
Yeah, I'm going to stay. Well, because I'm going to come in town. The plan is I'm coming in town on the 11th, so I'll get up in the morning of the 11th and drive in. Me and my.
Are you going to stay through Tuesday?
We're leaving because I fly out. I got Sunday because I fly out to Philly on Monday.
Oh, nerd. Well, I guess you don't get to play in the golf tournament then.
No, I'm sorry, brother.
Oh, for real? You're not going to be here for golf?
I can't. I won't be.
I got his face. We'll put it in the cart.
I have work. I got freaking a work trip for a week.
That bullshit.
Work.
I'm just kidding. I care.
What's going on with Got Your Six, Matt?
I mean, we're selling T-shirts. I don't know if anybody knows that. I mean, you guys look at the website every day, and I know y'all got WIC checks and retirement checks and disability checks and all that bullshit. So start spending some of that money.
Yeah, stop being punk ass. We're trying to help veteran organizations.
Yeah.
We're not trying to make fucking money and take your.
Well, no, I'm definitely trying to make money.
You know what I mean?
Trying to give money away.
That's not the point, though. The point ain't making money. The point is, we're not for me. I can give a fuck about your bank account, Matt, or you're making money. To be honest, I care about us selling these shirts to make money for a non-profit. You're gonna get your cut. Give a fuck.
That was the most phenomenal answer I've ever heard.
You know, like stop being punks and buy a fucking shirt.
Yeah, buy a shirt.
Buy a fucking shirt, bro. Go on the website. There's a bunch of cool shirts, not just the awesome shirts that we're selling for veteran organizations, but all the shirts. Stop being punk asses. Y'all go out and buy grunt style bullshit that don't support dick, or you'll go out and buy fucking one of these other companies that ain't about shit because they have a cool little name like, oh, they're fucking tactical fucking underwear. Like, I'm buying these. Like, actually support a veteran-owned business and do some shit that actually cares about veterans and is doing something with the money. Like, fuck grunt style. I hope they fucking hear this. How about that shit?
There you go. There you go. I love it. He's back.
That's our nuclear option right there.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
All right, man. Let's get out of here.
Yeah.
All right. What you got?
Well, I just want to tell everybody thank you for joining. We appreciate you coming in as we do every week. Carlos, I see you. I'll text you. And just, text me your sizes and I'll send you a link to pay. I'll make it so easy for you. I can even drop them off to you if you want. I know that you're in a different city, but why not? We'll come say hi. But again, thank you for joining every week, everybody. We appreciate you coming in. Remember, if you have a story to tell, we'd love to hear it. And all you got to do is reach out. And if you reach out, then we'll reach back out to you. So with that, thank you, everybody, and we'll see you next week.
Hey, so not a whole lot. It's Saturday. We're all back together. Matt's back with us this week. Like I say every week, just check on somebody. Make sure you reach out to a battle buddy or to a sister and say, hey, just checking on you. I love you. Want to let you know that I'm thinking about you. Check on somebody. Make sure they're doing okay. We can't lose another veteran and we can't lose another brother. So let's make sure we're doing our part to check on each other. And just, it doesn't take much, man. Like grab your phone, scroll through your contacts, hit up somebody you ain't talked to in a while, send them a text message, pick the phone, dial them up, just tell them you're thinking about them. Outside of that, I love everybody. Thanks for coming in every week and tuning in. And continue. Now we need you to invite somebody to watch the show. Don't just come on your own. It's even more fun and better with a buddy. So bring a buddy to the show. All right. I love you guys. I'm out.
Yeah, we really appreciate y'all watching the show. Be sure and check us out next week when we got Jason Redman on. We're going to be talking about a lot of the politics going on in the special operations community, and maybe a little bit about Tim Kennedy, forgiveness and stolen valor and all that kind of stuff. And then we're going to talk about some resilient as hell warriors that he's going to tell us his story, and it's I don't know if you know his story, but next week is going to be a wonderful show with Jason Redman. We'll see you next week. Love you guys. Peace.
If you or someone you know is in crisis, contact the Veterans Crisis Line at 1-800-273-8255. Then press 1.